Hello, welcome back to the Do's and Don'ts of D&D. This is totally my first recording of this episode. And today's episode is about punishing your players. Now, punishing your players, I found, makes characters more unique, as the faults tend to define a character. Because you're always going to have, oh, this is the heroic good paladin and the heroic good and the chaotic good barbarian and the chaotic neutral bard, because that's just usually how that happens. And there's not much defining the character from that. Maybe like a special ability or two, such as a character I'd run a long time ago named Reyes the Barbarian. Reyes the Long-Bearded, not Reyes the Barbarian, who basically he could grow his beard with magic and then shrink it with magic, and that was his special ability that he really wanted. Now, the reason I say this is because this happens a lot in my campaign. So, currently I have this barbarian. Now, he jumped on this bomb to stop it from exploding and killing a bunch of innocent men, women, and children. So he lost his arm and his eye on his left side. Now, this was a big defining moment in his character. Well, because now he's a barbarian with one arm and one eye who runs around doing things like that. So he has losses to perception and strength and all that. But he has a really cool character. He's already a power gaming character, and this also kind of helped me curve slightly his power gaming to make it a little bit more even, to make it a little more manageable for me. And what this did was, this is the defining moment in his character. This is how he defines his character, and it allows you to make more memorable characters because nobody really remembers a Mary Sue. Nobody is going to remember that Mary Sue character you made who just completes everything. No, they're going to remember that they're going to remember the tiefling rogue who kept tripping when she was trying to assassinate people, and always getting caught because she couldn't seem to assassinate people because she always rolled bad. People are going to remember that character. And faults, I've always found, are what caused that. So, now, don't just be like, oh, this character tripped over, off with his head. Because that's too harsh. There's a balance. You need to be harsh in a way that it promotes like storytelling almost. It allows the character to start defining themselves and trying new things, because this is failing. Like, I also have a cleric who is trying to get his magic back after he insulted his god by accident in one of the things, because he bowed down to a spectator and said that was saying it was a god, so the cleric's god got all mad at him and revoked a bunch of his power. This is now part of his story. It allows you to create more intriguing stories by accident, because you roll and you're like, oh, this happens. Or you pull out of like the critical fumble deck, which I use from Pathfinder. Yeah, it doesn't quite mesh 100% into 5e, but if you're careful, you can just tweak it slightly and use that deck, I found. But that's a bit off topic. As well as punishing your players for doing something means that there isn't only a reward for doing something, but there's also a risk. So you could do this and still get the reward, but it still may come with a detriment. It's like the deck of many things, in a sense. 5e version is horrible. Don't use it. Use the 4e version. Because it can give you a detriment, something or or something valuable, or something in between. And this lets you define your character. Because you wouldn't remember Luke Skywalker if he had just, oh, all the problems are solved, he's Mary Sue. You wouldn't remember you just don't remember characters who just Mary Sue their way through all their problems. Like, because there's got to be a build-up as your character gets stronger and better and smarter and learns. They've also experienced these detriments, so now they have to do stuff differently. Like the cleric who has trouble healing properly because he's lost a bunch of his abilities because he offended his god. So now he has to figure out some way to get that back, or really whatever suits your fancy as a DM. I know this one's a bit vague, but it's very specific to what a character is. Like, we had in succession, we had a character who messed up, and in the same little mini adventure, she killed her teammate, which spawned a red cap because they were in the Feywild, and then in that same Feywild, she lost her arm. This led to a character trying to bring her special mechanical arm, and yada yada, though she died, and then this arm was just kept as a reminder by the party's leader. Then the party's leader went and lost their arm, and now where's their old companions? What was going to be their old companions' metal arm? And this was the leader is a druid who uses a bow, who almost instantly blew her arm up in the encounter and had to go through the rest without using her bow, her only weapon, really. Thus, this defines the character's arc. It gives them a little mini arcs in their story, allowing them to push themselves farther, get around these challenges. It gives them more challenges to go through, and I think just overall, it makes just a more memorable campaign you just don't, from what I don't remember really any of I don't really remember the characters that I played in D&D that, like, in one-shots where, oh, you just complete all the challenges, you do everything perfect, and now, you'll never remember this. Or, I remember my character who lost his arm in combat, then lost his leg in combat, then lost part of his eye in combat, got it replaced with robot stuff, then I got anger issues because of his parents, and then he did all that. I remember his general story arc. I remember all of that. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I can save that for story time. But yeah, I found if you roll percentile dice to see if someone loses an arm or damages their eye on, like, critical fails, or while doing something extremely dangerous like jumping on top of a bomb, instead of just instantly killing their character, you can give them this detriment. But also you need to be careful that and make sure the character just doesn't quit. The person doesn't quit for these detriments, because my barbarian, who's now the most overpowered, really, character, in a sense. I say overpowered with quotation marks, because he's only as overpowered as I let him be as the GM. But part of his arc was losing his arm and his eye, because that's basically what every character in my D&D seems to lose when I roll percentile dice. They don't lose, like, we also had an archer a ranger who lost. We said, so he basically held an explosive arrow out the door and exploded it to get rid of enemies, and then we had him roll just a D10 divided by 2 to see how many fingers he lost, and then a D10 divided by 2 to see which fingers he lost. Of course, he only lost his pinky, but it makes that encounter memorable. He blew off his finger. Now he remembers why you don't. Now he remembers this. He's not just going to be like, what was that? Didn't we fight scarecrows sometime before in that barn or something? He's going to be like, oh yeah, we fought scarecrows and I lost my pinky doing it. As it just makes the encounter more memorable. It makes I just find that it means that later down the road, when you're thinking about the encounters you've played through before, all of that, it's a lot more memorable. It's a lot closer to you because you overcame these obstacles that came about because of your actions. Yeah. That's all for this one. Peace.